Thanks for tuning in to the Calgary Real Estate Show. Today I'm going to be starting a multi-part series on the northeast quadrant of Calgary. The northeast is a very popular destination. It's rather easy to get downtown because we do have a C train line here. And it's very, very easy to get to the airport because that's where the airport is located. There are some neighborhoods that are better than others in the northeast. Some people would categorize the northeast as the ghetto, but I'll have you know that the ghetto is actually an island in Venice. I've been there. It's quite nice.
So nowadays, we tend to think of the term ghetto in a very negative way, but it actually originates from Venice. So the Venetian ghetto was an area in Venice where the ruler of Venice, called the Doge, who basically a duke, he decreed that in 1516 all the Jews must live in this neighborhood, and it became known as the ghetto. Now, the actual etymology of the word ghetto is disputed. It could mean foundry, it could mean street, it could be a short from Borghetto, which means little town, but nevertheless, the original ghetto is actually a rather nice place. I have visited there and eaten there. Worth visiting, for sure.
I'm going to start off this week with Abbeydale, Marlborough Park, and Marlborough, some of the most stigmatized communities in the Northeast. Remember, if you don't subscribe, you're a bad person.
Are you going to Marlborough Park? There's a disproportionately high rate of violent crime. You can, on occasion, find for yourself investment properties for an affordable price.
Hi everyone, this is Chris Lafratta, your favorite Calgary realtor. If you are thinking of moving to or even in and around Calgary, feel free to reach out to me. My number is right below. We help tons of people all the time move to and even from Calgary, and we just love it. Today we're going to be talking about Marlborough Park, a community in Calgary's southeast. It's a bit of a rougher neighborhood, but you can get homes here for, $150,000 to $200,000 cheaper than, say, in a Haysboro or somewhere in the Northwest, just because it has that sort of a stigma. But it does have the schools there, it has shopping close by, and pretty easy access to downtown. Anywho, enjoy. Marlborough Park is located in the southeast quadrant of Calgary, just south of the Trans-Canada Highway. It's about 15 minutes to downtown and 20 minutes to the airport. There isn't a C train station right in Marlborough Park, but there is one right beside it in Marlborough. So if you're looking to take the C train, you're going to have to bus it to get to that C train. And as I mentioned before, there is a bit of a higher crime rate here. It kind of goes with the territory in this sort of central, southeast, northeast area. So if safety is a big concern, probably isn't your cup of tea. Hi everyone, just going to give you a little bit of a tour of Marlborough Park. It's a community in the southeast quadrant of Calgary, just south of the Trans-Canada Highway. Mostly made up of detached homes and townhouses built between 1969 and 1988 for the most part. Here's some of those townhouses right here. You can see there's a nice large park in the middle of the community, aptly named Big Marlborough Park. The community has 3 public schools and 1 Catholic school, so quite a few schooling options here. We're nowhere near the river, so no danger of flood. It's kind of noisy. I'm in the middle of the community. I can still hear the noise from the highway, so that's a bit of a negative. There are some decent, walking paths and bike paths here, which is kind of nice. It's not the safest place in the world. Actually, there was a fatal shooting just yesterday, and I was witness to not the shooting, but the aftermath of the shooting in a strip mall there. So not, if safety is a big concern, maybe this isn't where you want to be, but it is very affordable, and everyone's got to live somewhere. So investment wise, you can definitely make your cash flow here. And I'll give you a tour of some of the detached homes after this. This plaza right at the entrance of Marlborough Park has a lot of amenities that everyone will need: groceries, restaurants, gas, a gym. There was actually a shooting on the day that I filmed this, hence the police cars. So I'm just gonna give you a little bit of a tour of the detached homes here. I don't know if you can see there's a bus stop in the background. There is some good bus access in this neighborhood. We're not close to the C train, so you're not gonna get that downtown easy access, but you could take the bus to one of the C train stations. Also, there's a school in the background there. I don't know if you can see it. So with this age of a home, we're talking mostly in the 70s, you got a lot of maintenance items you've got to check out. Roof, windows, furnace. I'm sure some of these have the old low efficiency furnaces that look like mailboxes. All that stuff can be very expensive to upkeep, but some of these have been nicely maintained. So we got some bungalows here, some bi-levels. You're going to get quite a few illegal suites in this neighborhood, and some legal. You always got to watch in Calgary for damage from hailstorms. They do happen here from time to time, and that some of that damage won't be repaired, or perhaps the previous owner didn't catch it, and that can lead to water penetration, all sorts of issues. And as you can see walking by these homes, they're in various states of upkeep or not. Generally speaking, this era of home was very well built, so the actual structure of it is going to be good in all likelihood, but you're potentially going to be replacing windows, roofs, sewer line. Also of this age, it will, if it hasn't been replaced already, it will have to be replaced pretty soon. And you just heard a bus went by us now. One of the things that you do get on these older homes is a large lot. The new homes, it's like they build them on postage stamp size lots. You really have hardly any room in the back or the front to enjoy. But these older homes, you tend to get 5,000, 6,000 square feet. That's pretty typical. Here's a nicely manicured front yard. Here's an example of a bi-level. Now, one thing to watch out on the bi-levels is that the windows may or may not be legal egress in the basement. So that could seriously affect your ability to turn it into a legal suite without some serious renovations there. Here's a detached home with a elevated front yard. So what you would really want to look at is what's the condition of that retaining wall. If it's deteriorating, that's going to be a very costly expense. Here's one of the rare two-story homes in Marlborough Park. So in the 1970s, land was abundant and cheap. So it's more expensive to build up than to build out. So people tended to want to go for the bungalows. So in this era, it's much more common to see the bungalows, bi-levels, three-level splits, than to see a proper two-story. Whereas nowadays, a two-story is standard. Here's some of the townhomes available in Marlborough Park. These are very affordable, and it's a really good option if you're just getting your foot into the real estate market. I mean, it's better to own than rent in the long run. If you're you're going to be staying in the city for a little bit, maybe buy one of these. That can be your stepping stone into a detached home or a semi in the future. Because with the interest rates that we've been seeing, the townhomes have actually appreciated considerably. They've made a very good option for first-time home buyers or for investors. Marlborough Park actually has a decent community center here, and you can see the tennis courts out front. The community has quite a lot to offer. There's the schools, shopping close by, highway, the Trans-Canada Highway running right north of it. It's not too far from downtown, 15 to 20 minutes depending on traffic. From the airport, you're looking at 20 to 25 minutes depending again on the traffic. But what you can get in this part of the city for your dollar is so much more than most any other part of the city. And over the past year, with the interest rates, the diminishing affordability, we've seen some serious price increases here. So it's a good place for rental investment and a family home. Take care. Hi everyone. I'm going to give you a tour of Abbeydale today. Abbeydale is located in the southeast quadrant of Calgary, just south of the Trans-Canada Highway and just west of Stoney Trail, which is the ring road. Abbeydale is an often overlooked community. It actually has a low crime rate and it has 2 schools. Abbeydale School is the public school in the community. Although there's no high school, so when your kids get to high school, they're gonna have to bus out of the community. Abbeydale has some great detached garages. So if you're looking for an affordable home with a detached garage in a neighborhood with a low crime rate, you might want to check out Abbeydale. The homes here were generally built between 1977 and 1981, but some of the townhouses were built in the early 90s. So with that era of home, you're gonna definitely want to make sure the roof's been updated. Windows, likely you'll want to upgrade them to the newer style. Siding, it's a variety of different exterior finishes here, and hail is always an issue in Calgary. Definitely over the years there would have been hailstorms here. You want to have a thorough inspection of the home's exterior. Sewer, you definitely want to do a sewer scope. You're probably at least going to have tree roots in the sewer, and sewers don't last forever, and that's what people don't think about. They're very expensive to fix, $15,000 roughly, plus or minus, depending if it has to go under a garage or who knows what. One major plus is that there is a relatively recently built shopping center just across the Ring Road Stoney Trail on 17th with the Costco, Walmart, and pretty much all the amenities you need right there. The transit here in Abbeydale isn't very good. There's no C train and there's no bus rapid transit system that services the community, so you really do have to drive. Now that being said, downtown is only about 20 minutes away, and Memorial Drive would be your route to get downtown. It doesn't get too busy. Abbeydale is a very quiet community. The planes generally don't fly overhead here, and unless you're right beside Stoney Trail, which is the ring road, the noise from the roads are not bad at all. It's a rather picturesque community. I would say this is a great place for a family to live I don't know if we're going to see a great appreciation in the value, but just given the affordability here, it's an easy way to get into home ownership without having to spend a lot more than you'd like to.
Do you do YouTube?
Ba, 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 ba.
Marlborough has a C train station and a mall in the community. The mall is kind of run down, but it does have a fair number of shops and restaurants. And across the street, though technically not in Marlborough, there are some other stores like Canadian Tire, Home Depot. Marlborough is generally a pretty overlooked neighborhood, but you can get some very affordable homes here, and the access to downtown really can't be beat. With the C train and the fact we're right on the Trans-Canada Highway and Memorial. Marlborough is technically in the southeast quadrant of Calgary, although a lot of people consider it to be part of the northeast. The detached homes here were generally built between 1968 and 1988. We have a lot of bungalows in the community, as you can see here, and they're highly sought after for people who don't want to do stairs anymore. We're not anywhere close to the rivers, so we're not in the flood zone. The community does have a elevated crime rate, so that's something to keep in mind. If safety is a big concern for you, then probably this isn't the place. Though there is I would say, a likelihood of the home prices here appreciating in value in time, just given the likelihood of redevelopment. There are 2 public schools and 1 Catholic school, but no high school in the community. So for our high school, the kids will have to be bused somewhere else. And there are some planes that fly overhead, given the distance to the airport here, and that we are in the flight path for some of the airplanes, because we're pretty much due south. The community is almost entirely made up of detached homes, townhouses, and a few semi-detached. Let's check out some of these garages in the back alley. So it's a nice paved alley, got some good detached garages. And with the homes of this age, they tended to have a much larger lot size than the newer homes. The new build homes, they're pretty much built on postage stamps. Now here's a retaining wall to watch out for. The retaining walls, you can see this one's cracking considerably. If you have to repair a retaining wall, that will be very expensive. So if you're buying a home that has a retaining wall, make sure to get it checked out thoroughly. We're fairly close to both the airport and downtown. It's about 20 minutes to the airport from here and 15 to 20 minutes to downtown depending on traffic. You can take either Memorial or Trans-Canada and connect to Deerfoot. I don't know if you can see that lot beside me there. It's a absolutely massive pie-shaped lot, and that's one of the things that you can find in older communities like this. In the 1970s, they had much larger lot sizes than we can find nowadays.
Bum 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 ba da 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 da.
And with homes of this age, you really have to check out the entire home for maintenance issues. Roof should have been replaced a couple times by now. Furnace, you should at least have a mid-efficiency furnace. If you see a low-efficiency furnace, that's something that will need to be replaced immediately. Vinyl siding is very prevalent here, and that does not hold up well at all under hailstorms. In Calgary, we get very serious hailstorms that will tear apart vinyl siding and asphalt roofs. Definitely you want to get a sewer scope done, so that means you put a camera down the sewer line, see what shape it's in, because if that sewer line needs to be replaced, it's on the homeowner to do it unless it's on the city property, and that can be anywhere between $10,000 and $20,000 to get done. You also want to make sure you got your windows updated. These would have been built with the single pane windows, and that's something that is just not acceptable nowadays.
Do you do YouTube?
Honestly, the neighborhood doesn't seem that rough. I've seen a lot worse. The homes that I've seen here have been generally well maintained. And if you're looking for a buy and hold rental, I would definitely check out this community. Marlborough, given its proximity to the C train, it provides easy access to downtown and the university. So in order to get to the university, you would have to transfer to the other C train, but that's easy enough to do once you get downtown. Actually, it would be a decent place for a student rental. You could pick up a home here for fairly cheap, rent it out, get the cash flow, and then in a few years offload it when the property prices increase. Here's a bi-level home that has been nicely renovated and maintained over the years. Exterior updated. And then you can see one right next door that has not been maintained to the same level. Much more original windows, dated exterior. And then here's one that has been maintained. I'm driving, I'm walking beside a rather somewhat of a busy street in the community in Marlborough, but Marlborough is quite quiet. There is the occasional plane that flies overhead, but if you get off one of the main streets, it's fairly quiet. I could see it being a decent place to have a family, but the crime is a bit disconcerting. It is one of the higher crime rate areas. There's some gang activity, and that's something to watch out for.
Bum 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 ba da 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 da.